Greetings, and welcome to Spinal Tap Horror. Here at the asylum, we're dedicated to bringing you the most hair-raising tales that send shivers down your spine. So please, sit back, relax, and count backwards from 10. The operation is about to begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Spinal Tap Horror. On this podcast, I'll be narrating the most chilling tales I could find on the internet, with the given permission of the authors, of course. In this episode, we have 3 short stories, each holding a deep, dark secret. Our first story is written by Tammy Shaw, entitled, I Never Wear Gloves. When I kill, I never wear gloves. Gloves are for people who don't want to feel. But I like to feel. I like the details. The way other people's skin feels when it's still warm. The way their teeth snap clean out when they try to bite. Latex would only dull all that. There was a man last week. He fought back. Quite hard, actually. His fists almost cracked against my jaw. But I had him by the throat. My thumbs dug in deep, skin crimping, until his trachea gave away with a soft, wet pop. His tongue slid out like meat. He kicked, pissed himself, then went slack. The woman last night was a lot softer, quieter. I slid my hand inside her hair, curled my fingers around the back of her skull, and slammed her face into the counter. Again. Her nose folded, cartilage bubbling. Her teeth shattered across the floor. Blood misted my face, warm and sweet. I licked it from my lips before I slammed her head harder. Her skull finally went, a dull, wet cave-in. I lightly stroked her face afterwards. Still, no gloves. You see, when it comes to crime, people think fingerprints are a death sentence. They're not. They're camouflage. That's the beauty. This morning, I showered the blood away, ate breakfast, kissed my wife, and drove to work. Detective, said the captain, waving a case file. Fresh homicide. Female, 36. Had a face caved in. It's all yours. I grabbed the file and smiled as I walked away. When I arrived, uniforms and rookies stood around useless, waiting for me to bless the scene. I crouched beside the body, close enough to smell her urine, and I lightly stroked her face again. One of the rookies stepped closer, frowning at my bare hands. Gloves? He asked. I frowned back at him and shook my head. I never wear gloves. That story was very gripping, if you ask me. It seems like our detective has a few skeletons tucked away in his closet. Which brings us into our next terrifying tale, written by The Last Something. I give you Skeleton in the Closet. It was a normal morning until Craig opened his closet and found a skeleton inside. Beneath his shirts, crumpled lifelessly between a stack of old shoeboxes and a dusty suitcase, was a skeleton. Craig looked at the pile of bones, frantic questions running through his head. This had to make sense. But he just couldn't connect what he was seeing with a logical answer. She must have been pretty, Craig thought, surprising himself. It was just a bunch of bones. He didn't even know if it was a woman. He shook that thought away and focused on the most pressing issue. The skeleton couldn't stay here, and Craig doubted the police would believe she had simply appeared. He had ample land, though, and finding a place to bury her wouldn't be a problem. This could stay a secret. The bones fit snugly into the suitcase. Digging the hole was a chore. But before long, the dirt was packed tight again, and he could move on with his day. Everything could go back to normal. The next morning, Craig was shocked to find that once again, there was a skeleton in his closet. It sat on the floor, draped in a blood-stained dress. I buried that dress, Craig thought to himself, as old memories resurfaced, carrying an awful secret. He stuffed the bones into a trash bag and went back to the spot where he had buried yesterday's skeleton. He dug the same hole, uncovering his suitcase. It was empty, so he placed the skeleton and the dress inside and filled the hole again. All day his thoughts drifted back to the skeleton. He would catch himself staring off towards where he buried her, wondering if she was still there. In bed, he tossed and turned, jumping at every bump in the night. She's dead and buried, he repeated like a lullaby, easing his troubled mind to sleep. To his relief, the morning light revealed a closet free of bones. Just shirts and old boxes. A perfectly normal closet. With a bounce in his step, he made his way downstairs to start the day with some coffee. His hope for the day shriveled as he entered the kitchen. The skeleton was seated at his table, her dress dripping with old blood. She stared at him with green eyes nestled in deep, bony sockets, silently hurling curses. Her glare accused him, vilified him, reflected his darkest shame. Craig was so lost in those swirling pools of guilt that he didn't even notice his shotgun held in the Revenant's hands. His knees buckled under the weight of his conscience, barely catching himself on the table. He lowered into the seat next to her. His heart wept as he looked into her eyes. She leaned in towards him, softly tucking the barrel of the gun under his chin. Shaking, he wrapped his finger around the trigger. Her eyes begged for justice. Craig whispered a final confession and squeezed the trigger. Unfortunately, it seems like you can't hide all of your problems. So what should you do if your problem is hiding from you? Our last story is written by Apache Blackwater. My girlfriend has been acting weird. Hi, I'm not great at writing these, so I'm sorry if this comes off a little weird or rambly. I've just been holding this in for a while now and don't really have anyone I can talk to about it. I'm hoping maybe someone here has been through something similar. So there's this girl. I'll call her E for privacy. We've been seeing each other for a while now. I wouldn't say we're official, but there's definitely a connection. I know what that feels like. That spark, you know? It's been there since the first time I saw her in line at the pharmacy. She laughed at something the cashier said, and I swear, I fell for her right then and there. Anyway, lately she's been acting different. Not cold exactly, just weird. Like she's worried about something. She keeps looking over her shoulder when she's walking, like someone's following her. She started holding her bag tighter, walking faster. She even started taking a different route to work. I remember she always stopped at the cafe in the morning. Now she just cuts through side streets or sometimes loops through the park. I thought about talking to her that day about it, but I couldn't find the words. She used to dress a certain way too: cute, soft sweaters, long skirts. Lately, it's hoodies, baggy coats, sometimes even a hat pulled down low, like she's trying to hide herself. But from what? At first, I thought maybe something happened at work, or maybe an old ex showed up. I don't know. But it's like she doesn't trust the world anymore. We used to have these moments, nothing deep, but special moments where I felt we connected more. Like when she'd stop outside the bakery and look at the cakes through the window, I'd see her smile. I'd smile too. I always remember what kind she stared at the longest. She never knew I paid attention like that. But now she barely pauses, just walks the sidewalk between people with her head down. There's been other stuff too. I think someone might be messing with her. She started double locking her doors, put up new curtains. She even got one of those doorbell camera things. I thought about knocking a few times just to check in, but I don't want it to come off the wrong way. I love her. I really do. And I just want her to see that. Anyway, that's why I'm writing this. I don't know if I should give her space or try to talk to her. But I don't want it to come off like I'm pressuring her or anything. But it's hard not to feel shut out when someone you care about so much acts like you're a complete stranger. I just. I miss her. I miss how things used to be between us. I brought her flowers tonight, and I'm gonna surprise her. Now, I know they say not to show up unannounced, but I think when she sees it's me, or when she sees how much I really care, it'll help her understand. She's just confused right now, scared, but I can fix that. She should be home any minute now. Don't worry, I'm being quiet. I'm writing this from my phone while I wait. It's a little cramped under the bed, but I don't mind. Over the last few nights, I've gotten kind of used to it. Being so close to her while she sleeps, it fills me with a sense of joy and protectiveness. I hope she can see how much I love her. I hope she doesn't scream.
Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to the first episode of Spinal Tap Horror. And I'd also like to thank each author for giving me permission to narrate and voice act your stories. I'd also like to mention that all music and background sounds were found and free to use on pixabay.com. You can also find the credited artists of tonight's tales down below as well. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening, and I'll see you for the next operation.